Skinny to muscular, a complete transformation guide. What's up guys, Matt Dashu here from Blue Star Nutraceuticals. I'm just outside the Blue Star Nutraceuticals training facility, and today I've got a doozy of a video for you because today I'm gonna teach all you hard gainers, all you skinny guys out there, how to put on massive amounts of muscle in record time. So today we're gonna go over some critical key points for all of you hard gainers out there on how to eat properly, how to rest properly, and how to train properly. So without further ado, let's get into the gym and get straight to it. All right guys, now this probably goes without saying, but nutrition is going to be one of the most critical components to the hard gainer. If you want to put on muscle, you got to have the building blocks. Most people don't really know what to eat, how much to eat. As a general rule, I will aim for a minimum of 500 calorie surplus on a day-to-day basis, but a couple simple things that you can do is use a multiplier. So you can go anywhere from 16 to 24. I recommend starting on the lighter side just so you don't gain too fast and get too much fluff, but you would multiply that number by your body weight. So for example, if you were 150 pounds and you multiplied that by 16, I'll let you guys do the math because I can't do that right now off the top of my head. But that's gonna give you roughly how many calories you want in a day. On top of that, you wanna make sure that you're getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weighed 150 pounds, you wanna make sure you're getting a minimum of 150 grams of protein per day. You wanna space that out throughout meals throughout your day as well. So you wanna make sure you're eating at least 4 times throughout the day. I like to throw in a couple snacks or shakes. Shakes are critically important for me because it gets very expensive after a while and very inconvenient to have to cook so many meals on a regular basis. So shakes become a very fast, convenient, and cost-effective option. Of course, my favorite is Blue Star's Iso Smooth. It's the best tasting shake out there, and it's got all sorts of great quality protein with none of the junk fillers that you get from a lot of other companies. Clean carbs are important too. Stay away from refined sugars and make sure you're getting your saturated fats. So healthy fats are super important because they're gonna be what helps you to produce more testosterone, guys. So make sure you're getting 60 to 80 grams roughly of healthy fats throughout your day as well. Anyways, the other thing to do is to track your calories, guys. So a lot of times with hard gainers, we think that we're getting all the calories that we need, when in reality, we're not even getting anywhere close. It's very easy to overestimate how many calories you're getting. So one of the ways to do it, you can track, you can keep a journal, make sure you're weighing your food out. You might only have to do that for a couple weeks until you get kind of used to how big the serving sizes are, but at least do it for a couple weeks bare minimum, because I guarantee you, if you're having a hard time gaining weight, you are not eating enough food. Another thing you can do is you can use apps. There's different apps out there to track your calories. I'm not gonna recommend any one in particular because that's up to you, but make sure you check into those options as well. So keeping a food log, a food journal, or tracking your calories is going to be critically important. Make sure you get a minimum of 500 calories a day surplus. And if you guys aren't doing that, plain and simple, you're not going to grow. So make sure you've dialed in the nutrition. Don't try that at home. You can try that at home all you want, just don't drop it on your toes. That's the most important part. All right guys, so once you have your nutrition dialed in, the next thing you want to start thinking about is what type of workout routine you're going to do. Now, one thing I want to recommend that you guys stay away from are something called bro splits. And bro splits are pretty much the only type of training I did for a long time when I first started. So I can tell you firsthand, you will get 0 gains from bro splits. So a bro split would be when essentially you're training a different muscle group every single day of the week with maybe 1 or 2 days rest in between. And the problem with that is that for the average person, you need to hit a muscle group 2 to 3 times a week in order to really get some decent gains from it. So hitting it once a week just will not be enough stimulus to really get any real progress. Now, your routine then is going to be dependent upon how many days a week you can train. If you can only work out, say 3 days a week, for example, full body workouts are typically going to be the best for you. That's going to allow you to do as much work as possible with all muscle groups involved and hitting them with enough frequency to make sure you continue to get gains over and over and over again. Remember, when you work out, essentially what you're doing is increasing protein synthesis for that muscle group. And that's going to last for about 1 to 2 days max. If you hit a muscle group once and then don't touch it again for a week, you're missing out on half a week to 3/4 of a week's gains. The more frequently you can hit a muscle group within reason, the more gains you're gonna get. Now, if you're training more than 3 days a week, let's say it's 4, I really like an upper-lower split. So I'll have my lower body exercises all on, say, Monday, upper body Tuesday. I might take a day or 2 of rest and then repeat. And then in there, I might throw in a couple HIIT workouts on my rest days or active recovery days where I'm doing some different types of body weight movements. There's also push-pull splits or agonist-antagonist splits. Let's say, for example, I might do a chest and back workout. My workout that day is gonna be composed mainly of horizontal pushing and pulling and vertical pushing and pulling. And then I might throw in a little bit of arm work in there just to spice up the end of the workout. But the main thing is I'm working on hitting those big muscle groups with a lot of compound movements. And that's actually going to lead me into the next topic. But right before I get there, I'll give you a couple more ideas for different splits here too. Because again, you guys might want to train more frequently. So maybe you guys do want to train 6 days a week. If you're going to do that, just make sure you're incorporating smaller training muscle muscle groups into your rest days or your active recovery days. So you can have a rest day, but you can still train abs. That's not going to take away from the bigger muscle groups. But you want to make sure that you're not having back workout, say 4 days a week. You're not doing a chest workout 4 days a week. That's just going to be too much. You won't be able to recover fast enough. So on to the next point, we're going to talk about compound movements. I'm just going to do a couple more sets of squats and then get on to my next exercise first. Mr. Assistant, do you mind putting some weights away for me? All right, guys, so the next point is compound movements. This is another huge mistake I made early on in my lifting career because I was so obsessed with getting nice biceps and nice pecs that I didn't realize that I was gonna get those muscles mainly from doing heavier movements, not lighter isolation movements. So I want you to spend probably like 80 to 85% of your time in the gym doing compound movements. Now, what is a compound movement? It's a multi-joint movement. So where a bicep curl, I'm basically just using the elbow joint. A row, I'm using the elbow, the shoulder, the scapulothoracic. But I'm gonna be using multiple joints to move the weight, which is gonna allow me to move more weight as a result and hit more muscle groups. So essentially in the same amount of time, I get to lift more weight, which challenges the body to gain more muscle, and I get to hit more muscle groups, which means I'm gonna overall put more muscle in more places, okay? So I got to a point where I actually stopped training arms. I'm not saying that everyone should do that, but I actually stopped training arms on their own for years because genetically my arms grew very fast and I could just get away with a lot of pushes and pulls and my arms would get huge from that. So that's gonna be up to you. That's a trick that I used because I wanted to make sure that I was putting all of my time towards the most efficient ways to build muscle once I learned how. But the key takeaway here is to stick to compound movements. So think about squats, deadlifts, rows, bench presses, overhead presses, pull-ups, pull-downs, that kind of stuff. Things that are just gonna use all the joints that you can possibly use. Lunges are a great one for legs as well. Good mornings, that kind of thing, that are gonna allow you to use the most amount of weight and put the most amount of muscle on the most amount of places in the shortest amount of time. Now, something to think about here too, and this is just kind of a bonus point, a one-off, is that sometimes certain types of compound movements might be better for muscle growth than others. So the bench press, for example, is an interesting one. The bench press is in a lot of ways known as one of the tip-top exercises, the king strength developers, the king mass developers. But in reality, in terms of developing just the chest, the bench press alone doesn't get you a full range of motion because the pec is attached to the arm and the arm goes through a limited range of motion during this exercise since your hands are fixed. So I've always found that dumbbells are actually a better chest developer than bench press, but what bench press does is allows me to use more weight because my hands are fixed and because there's more stabilization, and being able to lift more weight on here translates eventually to being able to press more weight with the dumbbells, which again is going to help me to get bigger pecs. So a couple bonus points there for you guys. Oh yeah. There's a right and a wrong way to load plates. I always just put the weight facing inward. Don't like to brag about how much weight I'm lifting. What do you think, 3, 5?
I think you can be like 6.
6? I'm gonna have to harness my chi for this one. Hey, thanks man. I couldn't have done it without your inspiration.
Stay strong.
Hey, it's my line. Now, key point here. So, like I said earlier, I've made all the mistakes in the gym, so you guys don't have to. Now, one of the critical mistakes that you never want to make, both because it could probably kill someone and because it makes you look really silly, is unloading all of the plates from one side and having the bar flip over. Now, it's been my experience that you can unload up to 2 plates on one side of the bar before it'll flip over. If you go past that, Okay, in the spirit of cardio, I'm gonna do some lunges, because they get my heart rate up. And it's a lower body exercise. And since compound movements are king, I'm gonna do some lunges. Whew. All right, guys, so while I'm slightly out of breath from that, our next important critical point is cardio. So cardio is a widely debated topic in the realm of whether it's good or bad to help you put on muscle. Now, I have a lot of personal experience with this because in my younger years, I did some competitive MMA, and I can tell you firsthand that excessive cardio made it very hard for me to put on any real muscle mass. I'm not gonna say that cardio is bad for muscle mass. The types of cardio you do and the amounts of cardio you do are gonna be critical. Now, cardiovascular health is critically important. There's no getting around that. So I will never want someone to skip cardio altogether. However, if your goal is to gain muscle, you want to minimize the amount of long distance steady state cardio you're doing. okay? Is it good for your heart? Sure, it's great for your heart. Is it great for your gains? Not really. You can get benefits from cardio from other types of cardiovascular exercise as opposed to just steady state. So I wouldn't say never do steady state, but don't do much of it unless you really love it, and that's how you're gonna get your cardio in. But if you do too much of it, especially jogging in particular, it's gonna be really hard to build a lot of muscle unless you're eating a ton of calories and getting a ton of rest. My two favorite forms of cardio essentially are HIIT training, so high intensity interval training. We got a ton of videos on that stuff, so I don't need to go into a ton of detail, but essentially you're gonna be wanting to push yourself, 90 to 100% all out effort for short bursts, and then moderate effort for shorter rest times. So you might do a 3-to-1 work to rest ratio. So I like to call it, if I was on a bike, chill and kill. So I'm gonna do, say, 45 seconds of chill, nice easy pace, 15 seconds of kill. I am going all out, balls to the wall. Now, the other thing you can do is Metcons. We got a ton of Metcon videos as well. Our faster fat loss videos are great for that. You just wanna make sure you're not doing a ton of those, because again, if you're burning too many calories, it's gonna be really hard to put on the muscle that you need. However, getting a few in will help increase your cardiovascular capacity, which is then going to allow you to be able to do more work with less rest time in the gym. And that's gonna be a huge bonus. So as far as cardio is concerned, I would say limit the total amount that you do. Err away from a ton of steady state cardio while you're trying to gain muscle mass. Stick more to the high intensity interval training and the Metcons, and only do maybe a couple of those a week. You can even do one of those kind of on an active recovery day. But I would stay away from doing them before your main lifts. And if you're gonna do it after a main lift day, make sure you have, say, a scoop of protein. Gotta tell you, I love that ISO Smooth. I'll have half a scoop to a full scoop in between workouts if I was going to do a HIIT training session after a heavy workout. Now guys, just in case you're wondering what steady state cardio is, probably the easiest, most memorable way to say it is any type of cardio that you can do continuously at the same pace that's gonna allow you to have a full-on conversation with someone without losing your breath. If you and I are going on a jog and we can have a full-on conversation and it's not impeding my ability to jog or vice versa, that's the easiest way to think of steady state cardio. So your heart rate is elevated, but you're not going 90% all out effort. You might be like a 60, 70%, and it's pretty easy to do. So that's the easiest way to think of steady state cardio, and that's the type of cardio that you're gonna want to avoid for the most part while you're trying to gain muscle mass. Now guys, next important point is rest and recovery. So I'm gonna talk about this on two different levels. First level, we're gonna talk about rest and recovery in between sets. It's super important that you're not spending too much time in between sets and resting too much. For one, you're gonna spend way too much time in the gym. If you're in the gym for probably hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, that's okay. Anything longer than that, you're gonna run out of anabolic hormones and it's gonna be really hard for you to recover from. So try to keep your rests in between exercises fairly short. I'm talking like 60 seconds to 2 minutes max for hypertrophy work, less if you're doing HIIT training, but try not to go more than, say, 3.5 minutes in between strength sets. Now, on the other end of that, we got rest and recovery in between workouts. I just want to squash this more is better, no pain, no gain kind of attitude, guys. You need to understand that rest is critically important. If you are not getting 7, 8, 9 hours of good quality sleep every night, you simply cannot recover from your workouts. You're going to burn out your central nervous system, which essentially means it's harder for you to push harder in the gym. If your central nervous system is burned out, the analogy I heard recently that I really like is your central nervous system is like the amplifier, your muscles are like the speakers. If you burn out your amplifier, you can't really pump much power through to your speakers. So you need to make sure you're getting plenty of rest to make sure that that amplifier is still able to pump out lots of energy. Beyond that, it's gonna affect your mood, it's gonna affect your ability to have any output in your workouts whatsoever, or even show up for your workouts. And then on top of that, you're not gonna be able to produce enough anabolic hormones to make sure your body continues to gain muscle mass, okay? So let's squash this. This isn't about, how hard can you kill yourself? This is about essentially how much work can you get in a short amount of time that's most effective. Let's think train smart here, guys, and then make sure you're getting tons of rest. So not only can you go back and have an awesome workout again next time, but you're recovering fully from your workouts, your mood stays elevated, you still kick ass at your job, you still have the energy to take care of your significant other, all that stuff. It's all critically important, so rest is critically important. Don't leave it out. It's a big mistake. I made that mistake for years, and I'm telling you, it was one of the biggest mistakes I made, and it hampered my muscle building growth. Absolutely. That's it for rows. All right, guys, so next critical point here is supplementation. Now, there's two ways you can go with this, and there's two mistakes that people can make. And I see hard gainers all the time relying too much on supplements or not at all on supplements. And both of those are, in my opinion, a major mistake. Supplements are a critical component for sure. If you don't have your nutrition dialed in, there's only so much they can do. But once you've got that stuff dialed in, supplements are a massive help as long as you know what to use them for. I like to break my supplements up into a couple different parts, and that's gonna be related to other points we've talked about today. For example, I like having a couple supplements on hand that help me to build muscle. Blue Star, obviously, we are an award-winning supplement company. We don't just make YouTube videos. I'm gonna repeat that a few times because they are amazing. That's one of the reasons why I love being a part of this company. So a couple of my personal favorites, Createch. Creatine is one of the most scientifically studied supplements on the planet. If you want to perform better in the gym, if you want to lift more, if you want to gain more muscle mass, if you want your performance in general to improve, make sure you're taking creatine. It's probably one of the single best muscle building supplements that you can take on a regular basis. You don't have to come off of it. It's good for your brain. It's good for your muscle. It makes you look good, makes you perform good. Bottom line, creatine should be in your supplement stack if you're looking to build muscle, frankly, at all times. Another one of my personal favorites, and I take this on a daily basis, is Status. Okay, this is your testosterone booster. A lot of times if you're a hard gainer, there's a good chance if you're not eating enough, you're not producing enough anabolic hormones, testosterone being the master male hormone. If you're not producing enough testosterone, it's gonna be very hard for you to build muscle. I take 3 of these bad boys every single day. If you're not taking this, you're gonna be missing out on gains big time. Muscle building supplements, we need protein, guys. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The workers can show up, but if there's no bricks and mortar, no house gets built. Muscles are built with amino acids. Amino acids basically are what protein is. If you're not getting enough protein on a day-to-day basis, you simply will not be able to build muscle. It's hard to get all of the protein that you need on a day-to-day basis from whole foods. Is it possible? Absolutely. If you can do that, great. If you can't, supplementation is the most cost-effective, efficient way to do it. And this is an amazing supplement because it's clean protein, there's not junk fillers, and it tastes amazing. That's why it's one of my favorites. One of my other things that I really love about Blue Star Nutraceutical is the QR code at the back. And this will link you directly to all of the scientific white papers that tell you what's in the supplement, why it's there, how it's effective, and will actually show you references to the studies. No other company has that. That's one of the things that makes Blue Star the best company in the world. Now, recovery supplements. So these are things that are gonna help you to sleep better. GH Peak, again, this is one of my favorites. This is part of my personal stack at all times. If you wanna make sure that you're recovering well at night, you need to make sure you're getting good quality sleep. And I talk about making sure you turn off your devices, that kind of stuff. So make sure you're producing enough neurotransmitters that help you to fall asleep, those chemicals that make you feel tired. This will help you to produce that, and this will crank up your HGH production while you sleep. So this is gonna help you to gain muscle while you're sleeping. This is one of the most critical supplements I think anyone could take if they're looking to gain muscle. I'm also a huge fan of Vitality, which is a daily multivitamin. Again, same thing, guys, building blocks, critical components. Protein is important, absolutely, but your body needs to be able to make enzymes and all sorts of different chemical reactions happen in order to turn that protein into muscle. That can't happen if we're short on vitamins and minerals. So make sure you've got a good quality multivitamin. I'm also a big fan of omega-3s. Omega-3s are unbelievably good for your brain, they're good for your heart, and they're good for decreasing inflammation. So what that means for you is better performance in the gym, less joint pain, elevated mood, more motivation, better heart health, better brain health, better performance all around. If you're skipping out on omega-3s, you're making a big mistake. Another one of my favorites here, I know I got a lot of favorites, but again, that's why I love Blue Star Nutraceuticals, is roughage. 38 whole foods in one scoop, guys. I'm telling you straight up, I don't eat enough vegetables. Now, I don't know if you guys grocery shop for yourselves on a regular basis. I do, and I can tell you that I hate going through the vegetable section because I almost don't know what to get on a regular basis, and there's so many different options all the time. And I don't know about you, but I never eat it all. It spoils. This stuff that you can get, you can have it in your cupboard, and it's not gonna spoil. So you don't have to rush trying to force feed yourself all that stuff. There's no throwing stuff out, there's no wasted money. This helps fill in that gap. You get all of the bang for your buck. You get a full spread of benefits from this green supplement where you don't have to go out and buy all of the different vegetables and all of the different berries. I'm not gonna get the same amount of nutrients with any other green supplement. None of them are gonna taste as good as this. And guys, I can tell you from personal experience, I've had a lot of different green supplements in my day, and this one is by far, hands down, the best tasting green supplements you're ever gonna try. Without this, guys, you're missing out on a lot of micronutrients that are critically important to recovery and mental health as well. So make sure you get your greens. On top of that, we've got performance-based supplements. So we got things that are gonna help us outside of the gym. Sometimes we need that boost while we're inside the gym as well, and that's when we have our performance-based supplements. PPK is easily one of the best pre-workouts you're ever gonna use. There's no itchiness, there's none of that like scratchy face, scratchy palm. You don't feel like you're gonna freak out. There's no anxiety. It's full of nootropics, which are essentially chemicals that help your brain to feel better, think more clearly, and amp up your energy. You're gonna get a crazy pump from this. If you guys haven't checked out the PPK launch video before, I did a 20-minute long arm workout and put on 3/4 of an inch on my arms in 20 minutes after the first time I used this new and improved PPK supplement, guys. Unbelievable. All the flavors are awesome. This supplement is off the charts. If you're taking a pre-workout, you need to take PPK. And as we say at Blue Star, every great workout starts with PPK. And I honestly believe that. It's one of my favorites. We've also got Amino Fast. So Amino Fast is going to help you to reduce the amount of recovery time that you have in between sets and in between workouts by reducing muscle protein damage during the workout. On top of that, there is a hydration complex in these bad boys. So it's going to help increase your hydration throughout your workout, because as you're working out, if you're pushing hard, you're losing a lot of water, you're losing a lot of electrolytes, and your performance will decrease as a result. If you're continuing to maintain hydration and continuing to put electrolytes into your body while you're working out, your performance is going to stay up. And that's why Amino Fast is one of my favorites during a workout. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes I'll take half a scoop of Iso Smooth during the workout too, because I'm getting essential amino acids. You can even mix the two together. You'd be amazed how good vanilla tastes when you mix it with pretty much any other flavor. That's one of my little secrets too. I also in the morning will mix Iso Smooth with my greens. Great way to get your protein and your greens all in one blast. And there you have it, guys. Listen, if you guys want to build muscle and you want to build muscle fast, especially if you're struggling to build muscle, do not discount the power of supplements, okay? If you get the right supplement from the right company with the right combination of ingredients and you get the ones that you need for what your goals are, they're going to absolutely make your muscle building journey happen a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, and you're going to be super happy with your progress. All right, guys, next critical point is to make sure you're tracking your progress, okay? It's important that you weigh in on a fairly regular basis. I don't like to go batshit crazy with weighing in, but I do like to do a weigh-in at least once a week. One of the problems with doing it on a day-to-day basis is it can drive you nuts because your weight can fluctuate quite a bit. So do them at a consistent time. I usually do them in the morning after I do my morning activities. That way I know I'm pretty much going to be consistently around the same spot in terms of body weight, in terms of hydration, in terms of anything else that my body needs to expel. I also want to make sure that I'm wearing the same amount of clothing most times. So it might not seem like a lot, but if you had a sweater on, a pair of jogging pants, your shoes, you could be about a 5-pound difference pretty easily. I've personally had my weight in one day fluctuate over 12 pounds, and that's when I wasn't really competing or anything like that. That was just a matter of hydration and food intake. So if you're measuring your progress and you're weighing yourself first thing in the morning when you're home by yourself, really easy to just do in your boxer shorts. You're not gonna have to worry about a bunch of extra pounds being there, and it's gonna be very consistent. It's like if you were investing in the stock market and you watched it every day, you'd go crazy because it goes up and down constantly. You'd be losing your shit. Just weigh yourself about once a week. Make sure you track your progress. Make sure you're recording your caloric intake. Make sure you're recording your workouts. Don't leave this stuff to chance. Don't trust your memory, guys, because you won't remember what you did. It's the same thing with your workouts. If you worked out to a top set of something on a bench press, if you don't write down what that is, it's gonna be hard for you to remember that. And if you don't know where it is next time when you go in, you don't know whether you're improving or not. So tracking your progress is a great way to let you know if what you're doing is working or not working. So one of the most important things you can do. If you want to, you can do certain measurements along the way as well. So you can measure your calf, you can measure the quads, the thighs, biceps, chest, waist, your hips, your glutes, your neck, whatever it is that you want to measure. Some things will grow, some things won't grow. Unfortunately, there's no workouts we can do for everything, but what's important is that you're tracking your progress, guys. I can't say that enough. If you're not tracking your progress, you don't know what's working and what's not, and you're gonna waste your time. Track your progress. All right, guys, that's it for me for today. Finishing up the workout, I'm gonna head home and make sure I get a big meal in. I want you guys to remember that all of these were unbelievably critical points, and take it from a hard gainer. If you make sure you apply all of the information that I gave you today, you're gonna gain much faster than you thought was probably even possible, all right? So quick recap here. We talked about proper nutrition. We talked about bro splits being worse than full body splits, that kind of thing. So routines. We talked about compound movements. We talked about cardio. We talked about rest and recovery. And we talked about how important supplements are, and then how important it is to track your progress, okay? Make sure you guys are applying all those points. I guarantee if you do that, you're gonna start to see massive muscle gains in record time. Until next time, guys, stay strong. All right, guys, thank you for joining us for another Blue Star Nutraceuticals training video. And remember, if you want to continue to build muscle and burn fat, we've got awesome content here and here. And if you hit the subscribe button right here, I promise you we'll be putting out 2 videos every single week that'll help you reach your muscle building goals. And remember, we're not just a YouTube channel, we also make award-winning supplements. So no matter what your goal, whether it's to build muscle or burn fat, we've got the supplement for you. So check us out at bluestarnutraceuticals.com.
Dan Bilzeri wants his beard back.
He can't have it. It's mine now. It's a natural transition. The hair is slowly coming down from here and coming out there. I'd be a madman to trim it. No, it would be like slapping God in the face for a beautiful gift.